All right. Good evening, ladies and not gentlemen, but ladies and gentlemen, if any gentlemen ever watch this. Tonight we are going to talk about knowing. Now, last week I remember saying something along the lines of if you don't know what your kind of goals are, that's fine. And this week I'm going to say quite the opposite. The not knowing is kind of kind of does tie in with knowingness, because there are things that we think we know that actually we don't. Okay, and hopefully that will become clear as we go along. So, um, what I'm saying tonight is we can choose what we think we know. We can choose what we think we know, and make them favourable, rather than not favourable. So, knowingness is kind of the same as certainty, and it's also kind of the same as our expectation. So I don't know how many times you've said it, but I've said it thousands of times across my life. I knew that would happen when something bad happens. Okay. I knew that person would do that. I knew this kind of thing would go on in my life. Um, or I might even say, that's just how things are because I know things are always that way. I know things are never going to change. I know it's going to be hard to do this. I know it's going to be hard to do that. And there are all kinds of things that we know, and some of them are good and some of them are less good. Okay, so things that we know, okay, things in our reality, our current state that we know. Okay, so we can know how we feel if we just take a moment and just go, okay, well, what's my current state of feeling? And we can do that at any point in the day, not just like this moment right now when you're watching this. I know how I feel. At any point in the day, I could kind of scan my internal emotions and my current and my state at that time, and I could go, yeah, I'm feeling a bit anxious. I'm feeling a bit of sensation here in my body. I'm feeling a bit worried. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling whatever. Okay, so we can know those things. We know that we're alive. It sounds stupid to say. I know that I'm alive. Okay. I know that I'm going to breathe and I'm going to have a heartbeat and I'm going to move, and I know these things. Okay. So these are just some things that we know. Okay. I know my bank balance to a rough degree. Okay. And in some people, that might be, oh gosh, there's a nice amount of money in there, or oh gosh, there's not a nice amount of money in there. And that makes me feel stressed. Okay. Um, we know how our body is going to feel if I walk. I know how my body is going to feel if I run. I know how my body is going to feel if I bend or lift or do something or play tennis or croquet or chess. Okay, I know what my body is going to feel like when I do all of these things. And I know how fast I am or how good I am at a certain thing, whether it's a sport or whether it's a reading or whether it's a some kind of hobby, whatever it is. I know my standard. Okay. And that sense of knowingness can keep us stuck. Okay. Some of it's good. Okay. I know I'm going to breathe in 5 seconds. Okay. Or in 2 seconds. I know it's just going to happen. I don't need to think about it. It's just going to happen. So that, some of the knowingnesses are not necessarily hindering us. But quite a lot of our knowingnesses are going to hinder us. Okay. And they kind of rank in the same category as the rules, like breaking the rules. We want to cheat. We want to break the rules, and we want to essentially know different things. So things that I know about you, kind of humans. Okay. So not just you in this group, but people in general. I know that you have the absolute capability to have perfect health. I know you have you can change your health, you can change your life in and just about any and every aspect through thinking and feeling in a different way first, and then how you respond to life's trials and tribulations will change because you've changed your thinking and feeling first. Okay, I know that takes seconds. I know it can be relatively instantaneous, but I also am aware that because we have all these other knowings, that it's going to take time because we've got other knowings that we need to kind of undo first. Okay. So again, a few little examples. Okay, a professional sports person knows that they will succeed. They'll become a professional sports person before they're even a professional. No doubt there are countless ones that fail who kind of say they know that they will become professional sportsmen first, but there's going to be other knowingnesses in there. They know they're going to get injured. They know or they have fear that they're going to get injured. They have fear that they won't make it, or they'll have fear that, or I won't make it to the Premiership or to the La Liga or whatever it is. And they'll have that fear, and again, they'll get injured or they won't get picked or they won't perform on the right stage. So perhaps it's, those guys who don't quite make it. They're still good. They still make it to a degree, but they don't get to the level that perhaps they could have got. Okay. A wealthy person knows they know how much money is in their bank account. Okay. They know how much money they have. And a healthy person knows that they're healthy. Okay. And they have kind of no fear or very, very, very few fears and worries about the state of their body and their health. Okay. So there is never any doubt when we know stuff. Okay. And that can be said either way. Okay. I knew that bad thing was going to happen. Okay. In a state of knowingness, there is no doubt. Okay. So we want to use that to our advantage. And by doing the things that I've described, particularly in the last couple of weeks, albeit, over the last few years, really, um, a lot of them is this just kind of repeated knowledge, but in a different way. By feeling being in the end. Okay. So by going to the end result in your mind, and then going, okay, this is what I want to hear. This is what I want the end result to be. This is what I want the end result to look like. And then feeling as if you're already there. So that's being in the end. You've completed your goal and you develop a sense of knowingness that that's where you are, that that's what you've got. Okay. And through practice, through repeating those feelings and perhaps short phrases or short videos or a bit of both or a bit of all three of them, okay, all together usually. By repeating them, you develop the state of knowing. Okay, I know that's where I am. Okay, and it becomes as strong a belief as I know I'm going to breathe. I know I'm going to wake up in the morning. I know the sun is going to rise tomorrow. Okay, it can become that firm in your mind. And that's where we kind of want our level of belief to get to. I know the sun is going to rise tomorrow. I know my health is perfect. I know my body is perfect. I know this is going to happen in my life. I know that is going to happen in my life. I know this person's going to call me. I know um, this kind of situation is going to show up, and I know what I'm going to do when it does. Okay, so that's the level of knowingness that we'd like to get to. Okay, and we want to say, I know it's easy. Okay, I know it's easy. Okay, we don't want to go, oh, it's so hard. It's going to take so long to get there, and it's going to take ages to develop this level of knowingness. What if we develop the level of knowingness that this is going to be easy and it's going to be quick? Because I know it can be. It one one situation, one event to change our life. Okay, so we look at again, we look at this in a kind of a negative light. Okay, we have a car crash or something. That's one moment, and our life can change. Okay, it does it, or a diagnosis or some kind of a negative thing occurring in our life, and we get this sense of knowing, and it kind of fixes us into a pattern. And so just like having a negative event happen in our life, we could have a positive event happen in our life, a single positive event, a single positive moment, and go, ah, like the light bulb comes on. It's like all I need to do is that. Okay. And that could happen many times. Okay. So all it takes is a single moment to change our entire outlook. Okay. It doesn't necessarily take hundreds of times, hours and months and years of hard work and effort. It could be a single moment. There still might be some time to move between one state and another, but it doesn't have to be as long as we think. Okay. It can be, I know this can be fast. I know this is fast. I know this is simple and easy. Okay. And yeah, I like this next bit. Um, to get what you want, you must know what you want. And again, this is something I said said recently, whether this is in here or on another video that I've done for social media, uh, is it doesn't really matter what you want. You don't need to necessarily know what you want. It's more about the feeling of going, okay, yeah, this is the feeling that I want, but how it actually comes to me, how I get into that feeling, and how the things that I kind of have in my world don't really matter. But if we can know what we want, and let's say it's an object or a thing like a house, a car, a promotion, a certain kind of relationship, or a certain person or a certain type of person that we want in our life, that's a good start. Okay, because you can move from there. Okay, if it's not quite what you envisioned, you can change your vision and change things and change your actions. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to go, yeah, I want the car, I want this amount of money, I want this and that and the other, or with my children or with my partners or with my work. It's it almost doesn't matter. Okay. What I will say is that you can have a list of what you want, but it might not be the perfect thing for you. Okay. It might be a transitory thing. It might be better than what you've got, but not the best that you could possibly have. So, at the very least, write a list of things that you want. Okay. They can be superficial. It doesn't matter. Okay. Pick anything that you like. Okay. And if you struggle with that, you can start with the things that you don't want, because the things that you do want are probably the opposite of the things that you don't want. Okay? If you don't want shouting and screaming in the house with the kids, okay, you want peace and calm and quiet and nice conversations with the kids. Okay? If you don't want um, to feel like you don't have enough money to go on holidays and to do things and to buy stuff and to do whatever, it's perfectly okay to want more money. Okay. So start off with a list of things that these are the things that I want. These are the things that I think will make my life better. And if I have them, how am I going to feel? That's the most important bit. If I have them all right now. How am I going to feel? Okay. And then through practice, through going into that state, you develop a sense of knowingness. I know how it feels to have the things on my list. Okay. I know how that feels to have all of those things. That's what it feels like. Okay. And then whenever I remember, I can slow down, take a few minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes. Okay, I've trained you guys with Silver method and meditation. You've meditated hundreds of times here. Okay, and on your own as well, hundreds more, hopefully, um, to be able to come down into a nice, slow, steady, meditative state very, very quickly and just get into that feeling that you've chosen. These are all the things that I want. Now I know what that feels like. I know. Okay, and that's where we want to get to. Okay. Onto my small diagram. If I can find where my whiteboard is. Captions, whiteboard. Do, do, do. Existing whiteboard. Eee. Aha. Yes. Here it is. Okay. So let me just annotate this. Oh, that's a line. I don't want a line. I want a box. Text box. That's the one. So here's our want over here. This is where we are right now. Okay. This is how we kind of normally view life. Our want and I have. And in this gap here, which is time based, struggle, hard work, frustration, anger, a whole gamut of emotions, basically emotions. Okay. And thoughts. Okay. So want is the same as saying, I don't have. As I said, it's okay to want stuff. It's okay to want stuff. Okay. But saying I want is the same as saying I don't have it. Okay. And I've just remembered a video that I did for you guys a few weeks ago saying you can use I want if you like. Okay. But it's more about getting the feeling. Okay. Um, and then here, the start of the line is feel as if I have. Just move this across a little bit if I can. Doo, doo, doo. There we go. Feel as if I have. That's the start of the line. And then this is have. Okay. And the emotion you get here is whatever one you've chosen, really. Okay. So it's chosen emotion. Okay. Whatever that is that relief? Is that happiness? Is that joy? Is that calmness? Is it just a sense of well-being? Whatever it is, your chosen emotion is there. Okay. And the time gap between the thing, between kind of not having the thing and having the thing will be much shorter, will be much shorter and just easier to attain. You'll be able to, you're making decisions and choices of actions from a completely different mindset. And you're making them from a sense of I've already got this. Okay, you're already if you already have it. So if someone's a millionaire already, let's say this is a money thing. Someone's already a millionaire. They're making a different decision to somebody who's struggling with money. I recently bought a pair of boots, um, which were more expensive than I would normally go for. But for the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, I've been buying pairs of boots that are 35, 40 quid. And within 6 months to 8 months, they're falling apart. So now I've bought a more expensive pair of boots that are really comfortable. They're exactly the kind of boots that I've been wanting for 3 or 4 years, but kind of afraid to buy because it's like, oh, that's a bit much. I don't know if I can spend that much on these boots. And I've not made that decision from the point of view of a millionaire, but I've made that point of view, made that decision from a point of view of someone who's got more than enough for a pair of boots. Okay. So it's like, oh yeah, I've got more than enough for this pair of boots. Okay, they're not crazy expensive, but they're more than I would not have normally gone for. They're kind of a normal price for a good pair of walking boots. It's so it's just I'm starting to make decisions from a different perspective, which is overall more beneficial for my personal, physical, mental, emotional well-being. And things just seem easier. Relationships with my kids are less strained from these perspectives. Um, Work is just flowing easily. Okay, it's like my other work. The uni stuff is kind of just going into my head nice and easily. I'm be able to create better trainings for you guys in the last few weeks since these things have kind of since this stuff's been much more on my mind. Um, so even though I've done this stuff before, it was maybe a bit more strained. Now it's coming out a little bit easier. So if you already So when you feel as if you already have the result, all of those unwanted feelings up here, the struggle, the hard work, frustration, anger, all those kinds of emotions, okay, they kind of drift away. And what that leaves you is with more energy, more focus to be able to kind of make the right decision, make a decision that is more in line with your goal. Okay. So it's making a decision that's more in line with your goal. It might lead to a different kind of communication with someone, which means they're more open, which means they'll contact you. It might lead to different communication with a work colleague, which leads to promotions. It might lead to just just different circumstances going in your life, or just seeing things in a different light so that you respond in a calm manner rather than a anxious manner. Okay. Or whatever it is that's kind of, your kind of normal response will change and you'll develop a new normal. Okay. So knowingness will get us, speaking of normal, knowingness will get us into a state of mind of normalness. So if it's normal for me to feel happy, if it's normal for me to have successful relationships, if it's normal for me to have the things in life that I want, the healthy body, the healthy mind, the more energy, if I can create that in my mind as normal, as a sense of knowing, then we always get what's normal. Okay? If it's normal to step on a set of scales and go, oh, it hasn't moved again, then you're going to continue getting that. If it's normal to go out for a 5K run and go, oh, that's still the same thing again. The knee, the back, the shoulder, the thing hurts. I had to stop. I had to, it was the same time again. That's normal. We need to change that. Okay. And the way to change it is through creating a new story in our mind. And then through practice and through emotion, we make the new story normal. Okay. So if I was a 5K runner and I wasn't at, let's say, a target time of, let's say, 25 minutes, I don't know. Okay. If I wasn't currently at a 25-minute 5K target time and it felt bad, practice in my mind, crossing the line of park run or whatever 5K, going, oh, wow, look at kind of imaginary, looking down at my watch and go, 25 minutes. Wow, that felt easy. My body feels great. And that would be my short visualization for that. Okay. And go, oh, wow, never knew it was so easy. That would be it. Okay, for me. Okay, it might be different for you, and obviously, depends on your situations and the things that you're desiring about your life and your body and all these kinds of things. Okay, it's yeah. Where am I? I want to close this whiteboard. Cool. Yes, when things become normal, that's when all the effort, that's when all the struggle, that's when all the desiring goes away. And it's all of those feelings that kind of, it's like a bubble and it pushes you away. So you got your want and your have. Hey, when things don't feel normal and it's all the struggle, it's just everything just expands away from one another. And as we collapse those emotions and we move towards the emotion that we want, everything collapses back towards kind of meeting that goal. And then the gap just becomes that little bit shorter. So we're going to move off into some time for you to think about a goal. Now, it might be the same one as you had last week, okay? Particularly if it hasn't occurred yet, okay? It might be something different. It might be like, oh, that you know what, something else has come up since last week, and do you know what, I really want that to change. So maybe I'll work on that other one first. Maybe it's a higher priority. Um, excuse me. So maybe you just want to think about that for a moment, and then we're going to take a breath, close our eyes, and slow everything right down. Just relax your head, neck, shoulders. And think about what you know. What do you know about you? What do you know about you? Okay, things that currently seem very real, very true. Maybe there's a ache or a pain. I know this about me. I know there's a diagnosis. I know there's an arthritis. I know there's a hair thing or a weight thing. I know there's a money thing or a whatever it is. Okay? Like I talked about at the beginning, be willing to be in the state with this seemingly negative thing that you know. Be willing to be in a state of, I don't know, actually, maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not as true as I think. It just opens the door for something else. I know my daughter's such in such a way, and she's got such and such a diagnosis, and I know what she's like, or my son, or my partner, husband, my mum is like. I know what my dad is like. I know what my brothers or sisters are like. I know what the world is like. Hey, that one just seems bonkers because there's so many things. The world's just like that. And we have no idea. Okay, so all of the things that we think we know are true about ourselves, stories we tell about money, the stories we tell about work, the stories we think about other people, the things we just quote unquote know that are leading us up the garden path. They're making our lives more difficult. Just pull a few together. I know that none of those are true. Absolutely none of those are true. They're opinions that feel true. And we've got evidence that would back up the opinion, which makes it seem more true. And we've talked to friends and family members, and they've experienced the same thing, and therefore that backs up our decision of knowing as even more true. And it's been happening for hundreds of thousands of years, or whatever it is, so depending on the situations that you've been thinking about. And then again, that makes it even seem even more true. It's because it's been happening for throughout time. So that's how knowing works. It's been happening for hundreds of years. It's whatever it is, or it's been happening your whole life for a very long period of time. None of those things that I think are true are actually true. All of these things that I think I know are not true. And I don't know about you, but for me, that feels like a massive sense of relief. Okay. The next bit, we're going to go the other way. We're going to create. We're going to create something. I want you to start a sentence in your mind with either I know I have or I know I am. Possibly even I know I already have as a slight alternative to the first one. I know I already have a great relationship with my daughter. I know I am already completely healthy. I know my family has perfect health. I know there is peace and calm in my house. Okay. Pick a few for yourself. Make up your own. Create a new rule, one that is favorable to you and your well-being, for yourself, for your family, for your friends. And just notice the feeling of knowing what that feels like. It's what we're doing by feeling it now. It's like lassoing the future and pulling it towards you. And remember, this is an easy process. There's no effort. If you have imagined yourself throwing a lasso around the future, and pulling it towards you, there's no strain on it. You're just kind of reeling it in nice and easy. Like a giant fish, but instead of swimming away from the boat, it's swimming towards the boat. Okay, I know this is easy. I know it can happen instantly. I know that a single positive event can completely turn our life around. Or maybe not around, but in a more positive direction, in a way that gets you to exactly what you want much, much faster. It's okay to have an average life. It's perfectly fine. It's okay to have a less than average life. But wouldn't it be better to have a good or great or amazing life? And just shoot for the moon a little bit. I know I have a great, fantastic, amazing life. Everything is working in my favor. And I know that's true. How does that feel? And if you're in the mood too, you can just muscle test that with the ring and hook method, whatever nice, simple method that you know, as long as it's not like the standing up one. I want you to remain relaxed and sitting or lying down. If the ring and hook stayed complete, then that belief is there. And if it didn't, just stay with it. Stay with the feeling. I know my life is way better than average. It's fantastic. It's amazing. My health is brilliant. My family is great. I know it with all certainty. Just let that feeling of certainty and whatever other feeling that comes up with it just wash through you. Hmm. Let that certainty, your certainty of health, of you and your family, just let that certainty go out into them. In your mind, give them that certainty. And if there's someone you're concerned about, let it go out to them too. I know that they are perfectly healthy. In giving, we are receiving. So by giving out this certainty to other people, it is returning back to you anyway, an endless circle, circulating the health. Circulating the positive mindset. And as you do this for people, it has a positive ripple out onto others. Just see that ripple go out, knowing that it will return magnified. Whatever it is you're feeling, and you don't need to name it necessarily. Just feel those sensations in your body. Feel the warmth, feel the tingling, feel the space, the relaxation. Just stay with it for as long as you feel you need. The longer you stay here, the more minutes you spend in a day in this state of knowing that everything's fine, everything's great, all the things are working out for you. You have everything that you've ever wanted, or at least currently want. It's already here. You're already living it, whatever it is for you. And if you want to stay in this longer, feel free to. Uh, I'm going to open my eyes now and come back around. Super. So I'm just going to summarize very gently, as you may still be going on. There are certain things in our life that we know, in inverted commas. Some of them are helpful, some of them are not. They're probably more not than are helpful. Be willing to be wrong about all of them, but particularly the ones that are not helpful to us. You can choose the things that you know. And to do that, you might want to start with a list of things that you want. And if you struggle with a list of things that you want, you can start with a list of things you don't want and then write the opposite of those. And then develop a state of knowing that you already have them. How would it feel like if I already had them? And through practice, through going through that regularly for as long as you can, at each time that you do it, you will develop the sense of knowing. Know that it can be easy. Know that it can be fast. Know that will probably take some kind of action, that the action could be this, okay, the meditation. But there will also likely be some other kind of action to take. But it should be it should be simple, or a task that you are easily willing to take on. By changing our emotions, by practicing our emotions, things that feel hard and a struggle now, as you practice moving into a new state, those same tasks can feel easier. So even if there's a task that you're looking at now and going, oh God, that's really hard, I really hate doing it. As you change how you feel and practice feeling this state, that exact same task might start to feel easy. It might start to feel enjoyable. Instead of taking half an hour or an hour, it takes 10 minutes. Hey, it's those kinds of things that may happen. So it's not necessarily about doing something completely different. It's about doing something with a different mindset. And it could be exactly the same thing as you've been doing. It's just going to feel different. It's not going to have all the resistance to it. Therefore, it's not going to have the stress and the strain and the struggle. It's going to go, oh, yeah, that was really easy to do that. Or whatever that is for you. Okay, cool. It's a nice little summary as well. Super. Sleep well or have a great day. And I will see you next week. If you want to text me any other new goals, new things, exactly the same as we talked about last week. If you want to text me any new ones, or if you want to stick with the same one, that's fine. Again, I can add in my kind of vision of your success into that mix, which will be additional to your own visions of success, which will only help. Okay. So thank you very much for coming, and I will see you next week. So yeah, but please do use me for that. Okay. It's no great deal of extra effort for me. It's very, in fact, it's something I really enjoy doing because I really want you guys. I know you are succeeding. I know you are succeeding in your, um, I'm going to call it manifestations. Manifestations. Why do I, yes, I feel resistance against that word because it feels too woo-woo and spiritual, right? But um, it's just a word. Um, I can help you get those things that you want. So make sure you let me help. Okay. Not just through giving you information on a Monday night or a Wednesday night or whatever night it is that, I'm recording all of my recordings Monday night now, hopefully perfectly. Um, but yeah, let me be that assistance. Okay. Cheerio.